Hello there my RPG lovers and welcome to another video. Elex 2 has a much greater quantity of weapons of all types than Elex 1. Legendary weapons are back and you can find them all over the map. One of those weapons that I started using somewhere in the mid-game is the shotgun called Thunderclap. And this is possibly one of the most OP weapons in the game, or at least something very close to that. Shotguns are really good in this game in general, so I highly recommend using them even before you manage to get enough stats for using Thunderclap. The only disadvantage is pretty obvious: shotguns have a much smaller range than other ranged weapons. However, once you get a couple of abilities, Thunderclap can do some massive damage even at a medium distance. In this video I'm going to show you what this weapon can do on ultra difficulty, where to find the weapon, and some extra tips about using shotguns in general. I've beat the game with my Berserker Paladin and Thunderclap was one of my main weapons. A lot of these clips are from the very late game where I just go around and fight some very strong monsters. And as you can tell, Thunderclap is just completely deleting these enemies. But I have increased skill in ranged weapons and the damage number is much higher compared to the base damage on the weapon. So let's go back and check out the default version of this weapon and what you can expect if you decide to invest your attribute points in order to use Thunderclap. Thunderclap. And what you can expect if you decide to invest your attribute points in order to use Thunderclap. The base attribute requirements are 65 dexterity and 65 strength. And this might seem like really high values, especially when your Jax is low level, but it's actually not that bad. I was level 21 when I started using this weapon. However, I got this ability that reduces the requirements for ranged weapons by 10%. After getting this ability, you will need 59 strength and 59 dexterity. Here are a couple of clips shortly after I managed to get enough stat points for this weapon. Yeah, that's some great damage. And this is without the ability that increases your range damage with shotguns, by the way. Legendary weapons are not upgradable like regular weapons. That's why they have higher attribute requirements and some pretty good damage. You can find some really good regular shotguns in the game as well. I think that double barrel shotgun is the best regular shotgun when it comes to damage. I don't have enough of them so I can check the damage on fully upgraded version of this weapon, but I assume it's somewhere similar to Thunderclap, if not a bit lower. Attribute requirements for this weapon are a bit lower compared to Thunderclap. However, if you want to go down that route, you will need to invest your stat points into Constitution and Strength, so you can fully upgrade this weapon. That's why I think that Thunderclap is a better choice if you're just looking for a great ranged weapon which deals crazy amount of damage. Speaking of that, here's the biggest damage number on this weapon that you can get. 314 is the max damage on Thunderclap, which is totally insane. For comparison's sake, my fully upgraded Sphere Edge does 436 damage, but it's a lot slower weapon. And if we take in consideration that the damage per second on the shotgun, it's a lot more effective weapon in general. If you don't know the location of the trainer that can teach you these range skills, Astrid is probably the easiest NPC to reach. This is the exact location. She is located very close to the Berserker Fort. Like I said before, the biggest setback for using shotguns is the short range. You really need to get closer to enemies if you want to deal max damage with a shotgun. However, you won't have this problem with bigger enemies and the game is full of them. They're usually really slow and easy to dodge or evade. When it comes to smaller enemies and humanoid-like NPCs, it's a bit more annoying to use a shotgun. Especially because the AI in Elex 2 will try to flank you when you use a ranged weapon. so it can be really frustrating when you're trying to aim. Not that much if you're playing on the PC with a keyboard and mouse, but people who use a controller will have a bit more problems while aiming ranged weapons. Do take in mind that I have a full combat guide for the game that you can check out. I've talked a lot about ranged weapons in that video, but here's a quick tip for aiming. When the enemy tries to flank you, just release your aim button and adjust the camera. It's a lot faster way to get your crosshair back on the target than just trying to adjust your aim by pushing your right thumbstick. And don't forget that you can step dodge while aiming. You can evade almost every attack that the enemy can throw at you. Now let me show you where you can actually get this weapon. But feel free to skip this part of the video if you want to find it by yourself. If you want a quick tip for finding it without spoiling the location, I can say that it's on a very high place on the map. Probably the highest point on the map actually. And I have a theory that was intentional because they wanted to make sure this kind of a weapon is hard to reach. Because it's OP? I don't know. Putting that aside, here is the actual location of this legendary weapon. The shotgun is in Karakis area, Thompson Town to be more precise. It's on the roof of the biggest skyscraper. And you might find it hard to get up here, especially if you didn't upgrade your jetpack at all. I think you need at least a couple of extra fuel upgrades if you wish to get this high. Although I didn't test that, so feel free to try. You need to use this apartment as your first landing spot and then try to reach the roof. Just remember that if you hold the jetpack button without moving left or right, you spend a lot less fuel. Every extra movement while in the air will deplete your fuel faster, so go grab the shotgun and enjoy the view before you go on a killing spree. And that would be it when it comes to this video. I really wanted to share with you how good this weapon actually is. Like I said, I used it a lot on my first Berserker playthrough, even though I was skeptical about shotguns in the game. But as you could see, it can basically delete high level enemies. It can be hard to not get hit while trying to do max damage with shotguns, but don't get discouraged. It's really worth using it, but it might take you a while before you're comfortable to get that close to enemies. But hey, I have a full combat guide for that, so check it out. I also have a 40-minute review for Elex too, so if you can handle the sound of my voice for that long, feel free to check that out as well. Don't forget to subscribe for more RPG contents. If you want to support the channel in the long run, consider becoming a Patreon or a YouTube member. You can get your name on the end credits, as well as some other perks like early access to videos, Discord roles, my plans for future content, etc, etc. That will be all, and I'll see you in the next one.